And your children are turned into mindless vassals who now they look up to some twit instead of looking up to Thomas Jefferson or looking up to Nikola Tesla or looking up to Magellan. I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber. He circumnavigated with one ship the entire planet. He was killed by wild natives before they got back to Portugal. And when they got back, there was only like 11 people alive of the 200-something crew, and the entire ship was rotting down to the waterline. That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer, an explorer, going into of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind. Talking about Justin Bieber.
Hello out there. What the heck? We're on the air. Arnie's munching. Let's get some. Let's get a live shot of Arnie here for the 30 seconds he sticks around. Duck and sweet potato. Loves it. They are big duck guy. Huge duck guy. Anyways, happy hump day, everybody. Hopefully everybody gets a hump in today, has or will, or is in the process of doing so right now. This one's titled "The Government is Milking You," and we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that today. I just actually finished. The song just ended right as we were hopping on the stream today. I almost missed it. But there's this song. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but it's from our guy, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. What a beauty. Got a feel for that guy, man. I don't know where he is right now. Dead or alive. What state he's in, but man, he left an impact. And anyways, he had this song. It was called "They Don't Really Care About Us," and I felt it was a little bit appropriate to start with that one today. They don't really care about us. They don't care about us. That's what it's called. They don't care about us. And obviously it's talking about the government. And it was a pretty controversial song from what I've seen and read about it. But they did two versions of the video, two versions of the music video. One was in a prison, and one was in Brazil, actually. And the video in Brazil is crazy. I would recommend watching that one today. They Don't Care About Us, Michael Jackson, Brazil version with the drummers. And interesting story there, because it's the only song I've ever heard of where a certain group of people told somebody else, I mean, to that stature. I'm sure this stuff happens all the time. It probably never gets to that stage, though. But he wrote this song, he recorded it, he released it, and there was lyrics in there. There was lyrics in the song that a certain population didn't like. And so if you listen to the song, you hear two parts of the song. Two words are essentially blurred out of the song, so you can't tell what they're saying. But if you look at the lyrics, you can see what they were, and you can see who wanted them to not be in the song anymore. So it's pretty interesting. That was something I'd never known before. I've obviously heard the song. I heard the song plenty of times before I actually understood, the message there, believe it or not. But I didn't know about the lyrics. So take some time. And actually, there's two things here. So it was actually Spike Lee who filmed both the videos. The prison version, which highlights police brutality and racial injustices in the criminal justice system. And then the Brazil version was filmed in Salvador, Bahia, and Rio de Janeiro. The video shifts the focus to global poverty and the vibrant resilience of marginalized communities. And it's just it's a relevant song for kind of where we've been and where we are right now, and hopefully how things will change in the future. But we spent a little bit of time talking about the Hummingbird documentary yesterday, the movie Hummingbird, the story about Bitcoin jungle in Costa Rica. But speaking of the Brazil version here and the global poverty and the resilience of these marginalized communities, there was a story in that Hummingbird documentary of a big, I think it was banana or pineapple business company. They basically exploitation is a very light way of saying it, but they basically forced their way into parts of Costa Rica, and all around the world this has happened. And really, when you think about the fiat dollar and the ability, we've been talking about like the godlike powers that come with the ability to print money. And so when you have the ability to create money out of nothing, you can do things like this. You can go to a farmer in Costa Rica and offer them hundreds of thousands of dollars that will change their life, literally change their life, in exchange for their land and their crops. So you send money that you print and you get real things in return. That's what the powerhouse of the world has been doing for many years now, many decades, going back pretty much since they had the ability to print money. That's where this whole thing started. They'd print money, they'd send it to these other countries, and they'd get real things in return. So that's a pretty good trade, don't you think? That's a pretty good trade when you're creating money out of thin air and you're exchanging it for real products. A banana, a pineapple, anything. Those are real things because they require proof of work. So that's how the US has essentially been able to exploit all these different countries around the world. And it goes deeper too, because when you think about how much things cost these days, like all of the things that we consume, how much they cost, how much they've gone up in costs. And you think about how unfair, uneven that trade is when you're creating money and you're getting things in return for that, country to country, export, import. So what they've been doing with that is they've been able to essentially exploit these countries, keep the costs low. Again, when you have a trade like that, where you're sending them money that you create and they're sending you real things, it's hard to lose that trade. Hold on. Heck yeah. Finally a sneeze. Finally a sneeze. But so you can't lose that trade. Literally. Think about that. Think about the business that you could run if you could print money and buy things with it. Think about how well of a business that would be, how good of a business that would be. But somehow, still, this is the craziest part. Somehow, that same country managed to get $40 trillion into debt. I guess that's why, because there's no consequences to it. They owe interest on the debt, but then they create more units to pay the interest on the debt. So the debt keeps going up. So anyways, what I was getting at there is that they've been able to win that trade in a pretty substantial way, obviously. But they're basically able to control the costs. And if they can keep the costs low, the labor costs, the manufacturing costs, and all these different countries that they've been exploiting, they keep those costs low enough. Then when it's inflated, it doesn't look that bad. But if there was fair wages, and again, I'm not preaching to the globe here, because I think that people should look after their own backyard more than they worry about the globe. But this is just how things have been happening. And the whole reason why they've been allowed to happen is because of the fiat dollar. And again, that's the real enemy here. And that's really what I hope to focus on today and going forward, is talking about our real enemy here, which is the fiat dollar and the central banks. So if we didn't have the ability to create money, and when I say we, I mean the US, which I feel like I'm a part of here in this geographical landscape. But if we didn't have the ability to do that, the cost of everything would be way higher than they are. If we weren't able to exploit labor and materials and these other countries, things would cost 10x probably what they do today. But they don't get paid anything. They get paid dollars a day. So then there's little cost. So by the time it gets back here, things don't cost as much. That's the whole game here. So on a Bitcoin standard, that whole thing changes. And the story in Hummingbird is that there was a couple people, a couple farmers there who just basically told the government to go fuck themselves. And the lady, this was the story anyways, I think she said she's been shot at 10 times. They kidnapped her. You could tell she was, had some injuries. I think she had surgery after they're beating her and punching her and kicking her. So it's sad. And again, I don't I'm not trying to sit here and, you know, preach global peace or global fairness, but it should be. It should be. And the fact that it's not has only been able to happen because the US has been able to print money. So that all changes. That all changes when you go back to a hard money standard. And that's why Bitcoin's great for people like me and people like you watching this, because it preserves our purchasing power. It allows us to take all of our wealth and essentially take it wherever we want to go. We can secure it in very creative ways so that it's very difficult or impossible to confiscate. You can send it without anybody's permission. You don't get censored no matter what you say online or do. It's pretty powerful. But the thing about it, it's a global money. It's a global currency. There's no central issuer of this money. And so what that does is it levels the playing field for the whole planet. When certain countries, when you remove the ability of certain countries to create money, that changes everything. That makes things fair again. And not only will it make things fair, but Bitcoin from day zero, Genesis block, has been fair. Every single Bitcoin has been mined using physical energy. No shortcuts, no cheating, no manipulation, no changing the numbers, no gifting to your family members and friends or insiders, ICOs, none of that. Every single Bitcoin that's in circulation right now, all 20.05 million of them, they've been earned fairly. And the point of that is that Bitcoin is really a solution to all 8 billion people. And I mentioned this on the mastermind yesterday, but it's worth talking about again and worth understanding, because it's not just going to be Bitcoiners who are here today that benefit from it. Obviously, we're kind of ahead of the pack. We're leading the charge in this revolution, but everybody wins, because every single government on this planet right now relies on fiat money, relies on printing. And when you can print the money, again, it's a godlike power, and you have the ability to control your citizens that way. And you can print units and give it to yourselves and your friends and your family and the people around you. And while that happens, you're making everybody else poorer. And that's what every single person right now suffers from, is their government's printing, making them poor. Not just making them poor financially, but literally stealing their time and energy and their life to enrich themselves. So when you have a currency that's completely outside of that system, everything's fair. Everybody benefits from that. There's not a single person on this planet that will not benefit from Bitcoin. Not everybody's going to adopt it. Not everybody has value to store, and that's okay. That's kind of their problem, right? Like, it's fair. It's not equal. And that's a very important distinction. It's fair. It's not equal. Because if everything was equal, could you imagine how chaotic thing? That's literally communism. When everybody's equal, that's communism, because that's not the case. It's all the ants, all the cows are equal. What the farmers, they get richer and richer and richer, while the cows all stay equal. And really, that's what the show is going to be about today, or part of it anyways, outside of our usual stuff. But it's governments treating their citizens like dairy cows and milking every last drop. So all the cows are equal. You can imagine that, right? In a dairy farm, all the cows are equal. They all get shelter. They all get fed the same. They might get groomed every once in a while. They're all equal. No cows living in a mansion up on this hill. They're all equal. But who's not? Who's the beneficiary of the cow's work, the cow's productivity, the cow's milk? The farmer. And so let's actually just hop into that right now, because I think that while we're kind of on this topic, it's a good one to talk about. So the concept of cows and dairy cows comes from the book Sovereign Individual. So I want to share this. This is a really good metaphor and very applicable to what we're talking about today. So we're going to go through this quickly. It shouldn't take more than a minute or two, but this is kind of where we are right now. So it says the Sovereign Individual book, written in 1997, landmark book on how technological shifts redistribute power. Technological shifts redistribute power away from centralized nation states toward self-reliant individuals. The core premise of this book is that humanity is transforming from the industrial age to the information age. In the industrial age, power was heavily centralized because physical assets, factories, land, and people were geographically bound, making them easy for government to control, regulate, and tax. So the cow's growing wings metaphor is one of the book's most famous and vivid analogies. So this is the quote from the book. It explains comparing the traditional relationship between nation states or governments and their productive citizens to a dairy farmer and his cattle. So for most of the 20th century, the productive have been treated as assets by the government in much the way that a dairy farmer treats milk cows. They have been squeezed ever more vigorously. Now, the cow will sprout wings. So here's the breakdown of the metaphor itself. The farm, the government, the nation state. Traditionally, citizens were tethered to physical geography. Governments built high fences, borders, legal monopolies, capital controls to keep wealth and human capital contained. Because the cows, or us, had nowhere to go, the government could extract high taxes, inflate away their purchasing power, and impose regulations without fear of losing its workforce. So the milk in this situation is your time, your labor, your life. Citizens traded their time, talent, productivity, while the state took a significant cut through taxation and currency debasement. For a long time, the cows accepted this because the farm provided security, infrastructure, and a sense of belonging. But here's where we are now. The cows are sprouting wings. So this is the digital and financial autonomy that we have now with the internet and Bitcoin. So the wings represents the tools of the information age. The internet, remote work, encrypted communication, and decentralized money like Bitcoin. Once individuals gain digital tools to store their wealth outside the banking system and earn income from anywhere in the world, the fences around the pasture lose their purpose. So the cow learns it can fly. When a productive individual realizes that their wealth, skills, and intelligence are no longer trapped by physical geography, they cease to be passive human resources to the state. And instead of accepting whatever rules or taxes a government imposes, a mobile individual becomes a customer. If a government's services, safety infrastructure, and tax rates are poor or predatory, the winged cow simply flies to a jurisdiction that offers a better deal. So this is the takeaway. The beauty of the metaphor is that it extends far beyond taxation and government. It applies to mindset and programming. So unlearning the herd behavior, a cow in a pasture follows the herd because it assumes the fence is absolute. Breaking the script starts when you realize the fences in your life, whether in finance, health, career, or lifestyle, are often mental or technological relics of an older age. And then once that's unlearned and adjusted for, then you can opt out. Once you acquire the tools for self-sovereignty of your wealth, of your physical autonomy, and of your thinking, you don't need to overthrow the system or fight the farmer. You simply fly over the fence. That one's definitely worth repeating. Once you acquire the tools for self-sovereignty, self-custody of your wealth, physical autonomy, and independent thinking, you don't need to overthrow the system or fight the farmer. You simply fly over the fence. And that's where we are. That's where we are today. Again, that book was written in 1997. And they basically predicted everything that we're seeing right now. Here's a question for the chat. Here's a question for the chat and for the people who are watching the show later. If you're watching the show later, just leave a comment underneath the video. But where are you? Where would you say you are? Are you still in the pasture? And I guess a better question, because most people, if they're watching the show, they're going to be on their way out. They're growing their wings at least. But the question, I guess, would be, are you still working for a job at your physical location, or do you have your own business? Are you part of this new economy in cyberspace? That's really what it is. It's an economy in cyberspace. That's what the whole sovereign individual thesis is based on, is that there's no more physical constraints. There's no more fences, but there's a new economy being built in cyberspace. And so you have these different tools now, such as Bitcoin and such as Noster and all these different things that don't have a border anymore. So I'm interested, how many people here are still working at a job, and how many people have their own business that they could do from anywhere? Just give me one second here. Okay, it was more like 30 seconds, but okay, let me put on some tunes here. Okay, let's see what's going on here in the chat today. What do we got here? We got not a huge crowd on Rumble today. I wonder where everybody is. Where are you, Rumble? Where the heck are you, Rumble? Are we on Zapstream? I see it on there. What the heck? It says it's not working though on this end. Zapstream. Could somebody in the chat confirm if you've tried Zapstream and it is or isn't working? It says I'm offline, but it's still showing up in there. That's strange. It's a little more Michael Jackson here. I guess I'm on the Michael Jackson playlist now. Black or white. This is a banger. Black or white. Okay, well, how come? How come? I don't know. I don't know if it's working or not. That could be on, yeah, it says it's on Show. Here, let me try this quick. Okay, get out of here. Try this again. Try this again. No, not working. Damn, it's doing the same thing as it was before. Anyways, let's get to her here. Who's here? Who's who in the zoo? Who's who on the farm? Sketchucation is here. He says, a rare first comment. Grab a chair and hit the like button. Wow, Arnie's absolutely buzzing back there. I don't know what he's doing. Must be something in the yard. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, the show must go on. Praetorian's here. Good morning, Praetorian. Good to see you, buddy. Captain's here. Oh, Arnie might be outside. Yep. Is Lucky there? No, I don't know where Lucky is. Good morning, Captain. BTC Backpacker Kids says, hey, Jor, we get to hang out with you. Flipper, Hodler, Anon, and my mommy. Flip's been hot on the chat lately. She's been hot in the chat. Good morning, Flipper, Hodler. Let me try that again. Good morning, Flipper, Hodler, Anonymous, and Fanny. And not too far behind them, BTC Backpacker says, hello out there. We're on the air on YouTube and Rumble. Good morning, Backpacker. The whole family's here. The row of backpacks are all here today. Buck52 says, like the title today, for anyone that hasn't read Orwell's Animal Farm, you should. I'm guessing it's something similar to, yeah. Well, I guess it's a little bit different than that, because I don't think that we need a society based on equality. We kind of tried that with the DEI stuff, and it didn't go very well. I think it should be fair. So I don't know if that's just, I mean, a lot of people would kind of put those two words. I'm sure if you looked in the dictionary, or the thesaurus, fair and equal would be similar words, but they are different. They are different because not everybody should be equal. If you're more productive, you have more skills, you've done more work, you have more experience, you should be compensated in a better way. And that's how the universe works. And the cool thing about the universe and nature is we always return to that over time. We go through these periods, these dark days. I'd say the last 120 years have been pretty dark for our species. But nature always wins. The universal laws cannot be broken for very long. So they've got away with it for a while, and they might for a little while longer. But, you know, everything's being repriced. Everything's being remeasured. And I would say reset into a system that's based on fairness. Not equality, but fairness. MPC 3G says, happy hump day. Good morning, MPC, not NPC, MPC. We need to get the backpacker kids on Noster. That sounds like a good project for the kids today. Get the BTC backpacker kids onto, or not Noster, sorry, Rumble. I think they're already all on Noster. Scotty Boy says, is this the right place to be milked? It is hump day. It is hump day. Kev Keith is here. Good morning, Kev Keith. Sats and Sunsets, the birthday boy. Good morning, Sats and Sunsets. Ralph is here, says, good morning to everyone. Buck52, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. I'm not sure I understand that. I'm not sure I understand that quote, Buck52. You're a little deeper than me, I guess, this morning. Oh, Arnie's in the swamp. He knows he shouldn't be there. He's looking back. Keep a close eye on him. Chased a fox yesterday. As soon as I saw the fox on the road, I looked over at Arnie. He saw it. Looked back at the fox. By the time I looked back at Arnie, he was on the road. He's fast. Fast fella. Senior Gringo Poppy's here. Good morning. He says, sup, dorks. Looks like Arnie's hunting for something. Backpacker says, hey, everyone listening in the background, hope everyone has a wonderful day today. You too, Backpacker. Are you mowing lawns for Sass today? Yeah, we got some drama outside here. Arnie boy not listening very well. Might need to go out there and use the big voice. No, he's good. Movie based on Animal Farm led me to read the book The Hunt. Is that a sequel to it or what, Praetorian? The Hunt. O'Donu says, greetings from the wage cage. Flipper says, I love Michael Jackson. Heck yeah. How could you not? Well, I mean, I think a lot of people still believe that old Michael is some sort of a pedophile, when I think, just like a lot of things in life, the exact opposite of that is the truth. So it's always important, just like with Michael Jackson, with anything, to go into the assumption that whatever they told us was a lie, was not the truth, and then start looking into yourself. I would say what they did to Michael Jackson was very similar to what they did with with Jesus in terms of crucifixion. They didn't tie Michael to a cross, but they put him through the same kind of torture as Jesus. And both of them were talking about similar things. Michael Jackson and Jesus, and they both got in some trouble. They both ended up no longer breathing. Well, apparently, anyways. I don't know for sure. Who knows with all the celebrities? It's tough to know. Again, when you hear something from the people who lie about everything, you always have to ask, is that the truth? Is that the truth? But yeah, Michael Jackson is one of one. Bad Gal B is here, back in the chat today. Good morning, Bad Gal B. Bitcoin Barber's here. Says, good morning, George. Good morning. Wow, he came in fast. Literally looked up, and then I heard him come in. Oh, West, it is the best. Yeah? You're a West Coast kind of guy, Bitcoin Barber? Jenny's here. Hands off my sats. Says, hey, yo. Good morning, Jenny. Hands off my sats, she says. Formerly known as hands off my mail. Good to see you, Jenny. Always good to see Jenny. Bitcoin Barber says, I guess old Jack Mahler's resigned. Wonder what happens next. Man, there's a lot of carnage. There's a lot of carnage going on in the Bitcoin treasury space right now. Holy man. I saw also, what was this other one that happened yesterday? It was called Satsuma. I think they just shut down. It was Mark Moss's right here. Oh, shit. Right here. More carnage. Good to see, honestly. Good to see. I do believe that Bitcoin will be a part of every business in the future. I just think that how it was being used at the time with the treasury companies, you could tell that it wasn't going to last. So this is from today, actually. Satsuma shareholders approved Bitcoin liquidation, London delisting. So Satsuma shareholders have voted to unwind the company's Bitcoin treasury and pull its shares off the London Stock Exchange. So I think this was Mark Moss's company. I don't see that anywhere in here, but I'm pretty sure this was led by Mark Moss. So they closed out the trading operations and selling the company's remaining Bitcoin, roughly 668 Bitcoin. Nice. So the shareholders want their money back, their capital back. I mean, it's probably going to be a terrible decision. I'm assuming the shareholders don't really understand Bitcoin at the level that we do. But anyways, Satsuma's gone. Catch you later. Oh, they bought most of their Bitcoin at 113,000. But again, I mean, you look out 5 years from now or 10 years from now, that's going to be like an absolute steal. But, you know, again, not everybody knows what we know. Not everybody has the stomach for Bitcoin. And look who it is. What are you doing? I saw you out there. I saw you out there not listening very well. Must be in trouble. But yeah, in terms of Mahler's, I don't know. Sounds like he's going to go back and focus on strike, which is tough. I think a lot of people, you know, as good of a guy as Jack Mahler's is and how talented he is, there's not many people who could pull that off in terms of being the CEO of 2 publicly listed companies. Pretty tall order, especially for a guy who's like 30 years old and, you know, in love, probably going to be having kids soon. It's not really the time in life to be taking on the position of 2 CEOs. You know what I mean? I feel like he probably could have done it, but at what cost, I guess? That's the question. I mean, everybody can do things. I could run 5 companies if I wanted to, but they'd probably all be shitty. So it's a difference between being able to do it and being able to do it well. And so I don't know what the whole story was there. I haven't looked too far into it, but probably for the best. I would say probably for the best. Maria's here. Good morning, Maria. TMB says dinosaurs are fake, dragons were real. I would probably subscribe to that as well. I would subscribe to that as well. Oh, Anon's got the keyboard. Anon says, hello, Jor from Anon. Good morning, Anon. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, man. Only Bitcoin 2140 says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Only Bitcoin. Scotty says, work a job. That's crazy talk. It's fair. Scotty's retired. Scotty's living the high life. Retired. Hey, Scotty boy. Yeah, we're still not working. That's sad. Sad. Anyways, no stream on Primal. Haven't seen it out. I think Primal's having issues. That was my takeaway from watching Rabbit Hole Recap the other day. Sounds like Primal is having some back-end issues, and their main back-end developer is in the hospital, apparently, with heat stroke. So that would explain why Primal hasn't been working for video, but it's still been working on Zapstream. I got a balance here. Let me try one more thing. I'm going to try a Hail Mary here. Let's go to dashboard. Let's get our stream key. And let's go to our destinations. Let's edit that. Okay, we got... Oh, it says I'm in the UK. That's why it's not working. What the hell is that about? Hold on. Okay, let's get back to this one. Select. I'm using the UK one right now. How does that happen? So we got, okay, select, close, settings. Okay, so let's just try this. Swap you and copy and paste you. Try that. We're live troubleshooting here. I think this is going to work. Let's see. Save changes. Okay, let's see. Hey, there we go. Man, I'm smart. I am freaking smart, man. I might be the smartest person you've ever met. Kachok says, anyways, we are on Nostr now. It wasn't, I guess my stream key changed. Sats and Sunsets is over there. Hello, Sats and Sunsets. I thought I saw some zaps come on there, but now they're gone. Okay, we're working. We're back. Kachuk said, got to start somewhere. I need to build skills to be able to jump the fence. It's true. Not everybody has the ability to do it. And it's not a real easy thing to do either. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And but it's worth it, I think. And maybe we'll get into this today. I left this up on my tab from yesterday. We were talking about this in the digital homestead course. I want to show you guys something because I didn't really realize how I didn't put this together in my head before. So I'm thinking people here would benefit from seeing this as well. Even though this was a topic in the course yesterday, we're not going to dive into the whole thing like we did, but there was a certain part of it that I thought was worth talking about again today. But yeah, most people are not equipped, not even close to having their wings or their tools built. VHF's here. Good morning, VHF. Jake, 21 Ats. VHF, I thought you were over in Rumble for a while. What happened to that? You changed your mind? You even had an account over there. Jake's 21 Hats is here. Good morning, Jake. Okay, so we had Flipper in the chat. We had Anonymous, and now we got a message from Hodler. She says, hello, Jor. We are getting ready every Wednesday. We volunteer at the food bank. Hodler. Beauties. What a day. What a day for it. Volunteering at the food bank. Shout out to the backpackers for doing good things. Lapat says, good morning, y'all. I'm doing some coloring on my tablet this morning while watching. Some coloring on my tablet. The hell does that mean, Lapat? Like drawing, sketching? Coloring on a tablet. Praetorian said the movie The Hunt is roughly based on the reference the book. Cool. The Hunt. The Hunt. Oh, now Zapstream's down again. VHF said, Jory, are you going to dress up as Schiff for Halloween? That thumbnail from Rajat debate was friggin' hilarious. Yeah, that'd be a tough costume. I would have to cut my hair, or I would have to at least cut the back of my hair. Although it would be pretty funny if I had a mullet. If I had like Peter Schiff, spiky hair at the top, and then my mullet at the back, that would actually be pretty funny. But then I'd have to dye my beard gray, and that would have to be that was hard to do. I think I hit my maximum on the Schiff impersonation and trash talking Bitcoin and propping up gold. That was hard. But yeah, that was a freaking funny thumbnail, man. We should take a look at that. That's worth my favorite part of the thumbnail. I mean, when Forrest, Rajat, and I were putting that together, when we created that, we were dying laughing. But I think my favorite part of that was when Jerry saw it for the first time. His reaction to it was very good. I was laughing. Jerry was laughing, and I was laughing at Jerry. This is the thumbnail that VHF is referring to here. It actually does a pretty good job of Schiff's hair. So I would have to I guess I'd have to dye my hair blonde and cut it on top, or at least put on a wig on top. But then I'd still have my long hair at the back. So I don't know if it would work, but it'd be pretty easy to do. Just need a nice suit and a gold watch and some spiky hair. I could do it. It's a long ways away though, VHF, isn't it? What is it? October. I don't celebrate Halloween. I celebrate White Paper Day. 21 Capital is down 91% year to date. Oof, that hurts. I'm a shareholder myself. I thought Maulers, Paulo, they're going to do some damage together. But I was wrong. I think I only bought like $100 worth, a couple shares. So not going to hurt me too much. But yeah, tough to see. I got to do some reallocation of my shares here soon. As much as I hate shares, I still have some in there. I was thinking about selling it all, but at the same time, I had a plan to cash out all my investments, which, after the year we've had here, aren't much right now. So that would have been stupid. But the thing about that is, like, I could sell them and then buy Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's also cheap right now. A lot of people have this real emotional connection to their investments of like, oh, I need it to get back to profit, or I need to get this back to break even before I'll sell it. It's like, well, it really depends on what you're selling it for, right? Like, if I have a bunch of Bitcoin stocks, which I do, why would I sell them? No, let me rethink that. If I had a bunch of Bitcoin stocks, I guess that was my logic there, because most people would, and including myself here, even in my own thoughts, are like, why would you ever sell it low at a loss? But the reason for that is because Bitcoin's also down. So if my end goal was to trade my stocks eventually for Bitcoin, then it doesn't really matter too much, right? Because I'm selling it low and also buying it low. But I think what I'm going to do for next cycle is I'm actually going to use my stock account to make a little bit more. I'm never going to trade my Bitcoin. I'm never going to be somebody who sells Bitcoin and holds cash for a while. That's never going to be me. Just not worth the risk to me. Not worth the headache. Not worth anything in that realm. But you could still use the stock market for stocks, for ETFs, for strategy shares, for things like that. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense. That's kind of my plan for the next cycle is I want to, when we go on the next bull run here, I'm assuming my strategy shares will be up. My 21 Capital shares probably won't go anywhere. But all my shares are within Bitcoin companies and Bitcoin related companies. So if the market goes up and they all go up in value, I'm going to sell them all for something that's completely unrelated to Bitcoin. So then the plan there would be the next time we go through another down cycle in Bitcoin, next time we have another crash, then I can sell whatever I have in my other investments because they wouldn't be correlated to Bitcoin at all. They would still be going up with the rest of the market. So then I'd be able to trade it for more than I had before. So that's kind of an interesting play. If you are still somebody who wants to kind of take advantage of the cycles without having to sell your Bitcoin and do it, that's a pretty effective way to do it. That's kind of what I've been thinking about. So we'll see what happens here. But it is hard. It's hard to sell something like strategy when it's going up. I think most people can attest to that. So, oh, Kev, I didn't know this. By the way, I'm MPC3G on YouTube. I left the comment before I realized I wasn't on Rumble. Strike isn't public. Oh, that's true. That's true. But they're a pretty big company. Public was the wrong word to use there because they're not a public company, but you're right. But even so, running two, what would you call them then? Two big companies. Never a good strategy. Arnie's kind of everywhere right now. He's a little distracting at the moment. Spall says, "Hey, Joe, have you heard of the new product by Lightning Labs called Wavelength?" No. What's that all about? New product by Lightning Labs called Wavelength. Let's check it out. Give me a second here. You know, I was just thinking this morning before the show. Got an Arnie hair on me. I was just thinking this morning before the show. It's been a while since I had my allergies been bothering me. I was thinking maybe that was just a spring or early summer kind of thing, but then all of a sudden you think about it and they reappear, just like the boogeyman. No, what was that? What was that movie? Candyman. Candyman. You say Candyman in the mirror 7 times. Is that what it is? And then it appears. That was the first scary movie I ever watched. And I swear to God, I had thoughts about that for the next 15 years of my life. Every time I went into the bathroom at night, I'd be like, don't look in the mirror. Don't say Candyman. Okay. What's this called? Wavelength? Wavelength Lightning Labs. 17 hours ago. Let's check it out. Let's see what's what. Michael Levine. Kind of a weird photo. Michael Levine announcing Wavelength, Bitcoin on easy mode for agents and humans. Excited to announce the release of Wavelength, the toolkit for adding self-custodial Bitcoin and stablecoin payments to any application. Wow. Designed to create the best developer experience for human and agents. Lightning Network gives the world instant global low-fee payments where every user controls their own funds. But using it previously meant running infrastructure most builders didn't want to integrate, manage, or maintain. Wavelength exists to close that gap. It takes everything hard about integrating Bitcoin and turns it into a few simple API calls so any developer, vibe coder, or agent can give their app a working Bitcoin wallet without learning how Lightning works under the hood. Wow. Wavelength is open to everyone today on Signet and testnet with mainnet access available by invite. So this is an important part. Self-custodial, you can exit anytime. Wavelength wallets are self-custodial, which means the user holds their own keys and stays in control of their funds. Behind the scenes, a coordination service settles transfers between users instantly at a very low cost, so no one has to run their own infrastructure or node to transact. But that service never has the unilateral control of any user funds. Wow. So under the hood is powered by an ARC-like settlement layer. That is very interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Spallis. So I mean that just goes to show that that's a perfect example of kind of what I've been saying and many others have been saying too. From the people who own these other shit coins, we'll call them. I don't want to say the name of them because I don't want to give them any sort of attention that they don't deserve. But there's a couple other cryptocurrencies that claim to solve Bitcoin's problems. The throughput issue, which means that people don't believe. Here's the argument. There's people out there that believe that Bitcoin can't scale. The mainnet can't scale, which everybody agrees with. They think that they're these, the visionaries of the future, that they look into a world and they see the mainnet on Bitcoin not being able to facilitate all the global transactions and payments, which is definitely true. No Bitcoiner is going to ever argue with that. But they believe that Lightning is a problem. It's not a solution. It's actually a problem because it's custodial. So the easy to use wallets, the biggest complaint of Lightning is that it's either custodial or you have to be a genius or a developer essentially to run your own Lightning node and make those sats self-custodial, which means you hold the key to it. Whenever you hear like a custodial wallet, think of them like a bank. Like a bank is a custodian of your money. So a custodial wallet is the bank version of Bitcoin. They hold your money for you. You don't hold the keys to it. Non-custodial or self-custodial, that's different. That's like holding cash at home. And in Bitcoin, that means that you have the key to your Bitcoin, so you can remove it anytime you want to without having to ask permission of the custodian. So custodial is like a bank. They hold the keys. They're holding your assets. Non-custodial, which means just like holding cash at home, you are the custodian of your assets. And you hold the keys to it. And you don't have to ask the bank's permission or the wallet's permission to move your funds. So my rebuttal to that was always, if it becomes an issue, we'll find a solution to it. Like Bitcoin's still very young, 17 and a half years old. The Lightning Network itself isn't very old. So as issues come up and there's a need for it, the problems will be solved. We don't need another coin. We just need a solution to these layers. And it sounds like Wavelength could be on something. I can't really speak on it. I've never tried it. But based on what they're saying here, that would solve the issue there. Oh, I got to sneeze again. Do I? I did. Pollen must be high today. Pollen must be high. Because I keep getting this little tickle in my nose. Pollen is high, indeed. Lots of grass pollen today. Today, tomorrow, and Friday. Yes, right on. No tree pollen, though. For a while there, when my allergies were really bad for that week or two, there was high tree pollen and high grass pollen. So right now, it's only grass pollen. I'm not sure why it's bugging me. But anyways, thanks for sharing that. The low life at the moment. That doesn't sound right. The low life at the moment. Oh, the high life. Yeah. Your retirement. Jenny says, you moved and forgot to tell us. How rude. Who moved? Yeah, VHF. Come join the party on Rumble. Listen to Jenny. Oh, gotcha. Summer world hours have me away from the computer, and so I'm on my phone. Gotcha. Okay. You can get a Rumble app, though, man. It's actually better to watch on Rumble than on YouTube on mobile, because you can do other things on your phone while you're watching Rumble. Filling in color, black and white drawn. Cool. Solar's here. Good morning, all. We should spoil the milk they're taken. Yeah, true. Or milk ourselves and store the milk in the cold. That could be interpreted many different ways. We could milk ourselves and store the milk in a cold storage type of thing. But when you start talking about milking yourselves, just like our mastermind yesterday, where we were talking about dongs. What is the dong? Oh, we got 5 people over in Zapstream. It's working now. It's connected, but no one's talking. Anyone alive over here? Anyone alive, Zapstream? What are you doing? I guess just casually viewing. We should tell Nostra that we're live. I need to start doing that again. I've been brutal at it. Brutal. Hey, Bad Gal B's over there. She says, hey. VHF spit his coffee out when he saw the thumbnail of George Schiff. Kachuk says, why you as Schiff look like you'd fit in as a character from The Office. Imagine if that, yeah, no doubt. I thought of that actually, Sats and Sunsets. Imagine if that video was the first video someone sees of you. But at the end of it, I did come out as a Bitcoiner. So I think that they would still know. Couldn't play this video, huh? Why? Can't play this video. Oh well, we'll still let people know we are live. It looks like some people are able to do it, able to watch on Nostr. Kevin says stream is intermittent for me. Shiitake. Why is that, I wonder? Anyways, thanks for letting me know, Kevin. And I want to give a shout out to Kevin. I see him on Nostr. Kevin is one of the very few people that I've talked with about BIP 110 or not that has been respectful, very respectful. And in my opinion, I think that things could have been handled a lot differently on both sides, from Core and from the BIP 110 side. And not that Core is really a competitor to BIP 110. I think that that's what a lot of people miss in this situation, is that it's not Core versus BIP 110. It's still Core knots. Those are policy implementations. BIP 110 is a consensus. It's a pretty big change, even though there's only 7 or 8 different changes to the code itself. It is a consensus change. So you could, I believe, actually run BIP 110, activate BIP 110 with Core eventually, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think I am. But yeah, I had a good conversation with Kevin on Nostr about BIP 110 or not. Not or not, but or not. But there hasn't been much of that. I feel like there's been a lot of name calling and accusations. That's what really turned me off from a lot of things, is when you see an email from 13 years ago that has a guy's name in it and you accuse him of being a pedophile. It's a little fucked up. And it just seems desperate to me. And it doesn't align with me. It's really as simple as that. I'm sure if BIP 110 did succeed. Probably not too much in our life would change. I might feel differently about Bitcoin overall and kind of question a few beliefs that I had. But, you don't need to be doing stuff like that. And I'm not saying it's just been one side. I think both sides have handled the whole situation very poorly. And it all started with Bitcoin Core handling the situation very poorly, which led to a lot of people being upset with them. So anyways, I'm done talking about that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Kevin because I just appreciate stuff like that. People who are willing to talk instead of just name call or accuse you of being a pedophile if you don't run their software. Henry says, I keep some Bitcoin stocks as a buffer. If I need cash, I always... Exactly. That's a great point. I feel the same way, Henry. Great comment here. As much as I really, I'm tempted to just fully pull myself out of that world and just be completely living in the new world. It is actually still useful in certain situations like this, where if you need cash, you can sell them before selling your Bitcoin. It's just like a farmer, man. And today's episode, we're talking about cows, dairy cows, farmers, but Bitcoin is very much like land to a farmer, where they'll sell everything else before having to sell their land. They'll take a loan, they'll use everything else as collateral before using their land as collateral. Same kind of thing with your Bitcoin. So there's a lot of talk of like, lending against your Bitcoin, but I really think that there's going to be better things that you can do instead of having to use your Bitcoin as collateral. If it comes down to it and you're like, at the end of your rope, then maybe. But the thing I think that people got wrong with that whole thing is that they were using that as kind of like their first option. You know what I mean? Like if they needed money or some people took a loan on their Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin. That was a terrible move. Turned out to be a terrible move. I mean, not everybody would have got liquidated because you can always top it up to lower your LTV. But you should look at, or you shouldn't listen to me, but what I think about Bitcoin is like very similar to land, where the last thing that I would ever sell, the last thing I would ever use as collateral is my Bitcoin. Everything else first. Everything else first. J-Dog says, good afternoon all. Been on my traveling, so missed a lot of shows, but I've got big chunks of catching up to do. Yeah, we've had some heated chats lately. We've had some heated chats. Sats and Sunsets. So I think, I know actually, Sats and Sunsets and I are pretty similar in age. He's a little bit older than me, but he would have went through that same thing as a kid. He would have been around the same age as me when you watched Candyman. Terrifying movie. Terrifying movie. Bad Gal B says, pollen is hella high. Allergies been kicking my butt the last 2 days. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Especially when you got to do frickin' live streams. But it sucks overall, anything you're doing. Okay, there's a couple other things I wanted to share from Primal today, actually, or from Noster. Then we're going to talk about the epiphany that I had yesterday. But let me find some of the Noster stuff first. Give me 1 sec. Back. What the hell was I going to say? I don't know. Okay, let's get a live look at Arnie Boy here. Look at this guy. Look at this fella. The beginning is near. This is Jor on Noster. Look at that guy. The beginning is near. So look at that. I shared this. I shared the Noster. There's 19 people in there right now. Wow. So I guess we should be sharing it more. But, and also we got 42 sats just for sharing it from a Zap They Can't Stop. Love that. So this was the one I wanted to share here from Gigi. Think beyond your lifetime if you want to accomplish something truly worthwhile. I love that quote. Kind of reminds me of the planting trees whose shade you'll never get to sit under. Same kind of thing. I think that we've spent too long, and it's nobody's fault, no generation's fault. Like we mentioned yesterday, everybody did the best, I believe anyways. I believe most people are good. And most people did the best with what they had at the time. And, you know, a lot of that led to very short-term thinking. Because when money is cheap, when money's easy, then you can afford to make very short-term decisions. But to me, you drive through the cities, you drive through some of the other parts of the prairies here, and you can just tell. You look at the quality of houses these days; they all look like the exact same. They're cut out of the same fucking box. It's just we need to get back to the very long-term thinking beyond your lifetime. And I really believe that Bitcoiners, for the most part, have that sort of mentality, that they're doing this for, they almost go too far on this scale, if you know what I mean. Most Bitcoiners kind of think too far beyond their lifetime, and they forget that their time here on Earth is precious and sacred. But you know, you got to find some balance. You got to think beyond your lifetime, but you also have to enjoy, you know, wherever your boots are today. But I like that quote. So that was from our favorite Bitcoiner, Gigi. Also wanted to share this because, you know, there's been a couple things that I've seen lately. What was that other one? The Vine equivalent. What was it called? Divine, I think. Divine? It's basically an app that's built on Nostr, but nobody really knows. Yeah, Divine. Not Divine, Divine. But this Zap cooking, something I want to get into a little bit more. I've checked it out. It is a paid entrance, I guess, membership. You got to get a membership to Zap Cooking. But I did check it out one day, and there's a lot of good information on there. So check this out here if you got some time today, Zap Cooking. And I just like this post from Seth. He said, it's time to grow Nostr. Our goal is to bring freedom tech to the world. And really what freedom tech is to me is the wings we're talking about today. The cow, the dairy cow growing wings. And that's using this freedom tech that we have. To do that, we need to show people where freedom tech already lives. So if you're on Facebook, you can grab this and share it with your friends and family, or your normie friends. But it looks like he put a page together here, and he's running ads to build a presence about Nostr. So it isn't about one app or platform. The technology is agnostic. We're simply trying to build the world we want to see. So look at that. You can share the page, leave a comment, invite your Facebook friends to help us grow Nostr. I'll be zapping out 5,000 sats to people helping spread the word. So if you want some free sats, and if you want to help grow the freedom tech here, that's a pretty easy thing to do. Zap Cooking. I like this one. So here's Hummingbird too. You can actually find them on Nostr, and you can watch the whole video here right on Nostr. This is the documentary, or the movie we've been talking about here, Hummingbird, the Bitcoin Jungle Story, or the Bitcoin Junge story. But look at that. They earned 21,367 sats for their time. And I wanted to share this too, because this is something that Craig shared with us a while ago, and Sats and Sunsets pointed out in our Visionaries group. But it looks like this is becoming a little bit more well known, talking about getting rid of the trackers from your links. So whenever you're sharing links, all you need to share is the green part here. uta.b, and then the video itself right there. That's the green. That's the actual link. And then everything that comes starting with the question mark there, you can just delete all that. So then you're not being tracked around the internet. Very simple. Very, very simple, but I've been doing it for a while now, over a year. And every time I see a link with a question mark in it, I just delete all that. And then you get the actual link still without all the tracking attached to it. But this was the one that I wanted to share today. It's called buzz.xyz. So people have been talking about Jack Mallers as being a builder in Bitcoin and a builder in the space. But I don't think anybody's built more than Jack Dorsey, who might actually be Satoshi or one of the people who are Satoshi, in my opinion. If I had to pick one guy that was involved in the group of Satoshi, I would nominate Jack Dorsey. No proof, just my feelings, the dots that I've connected. But he built this new buzz.xyz, where people and agents work together, come test the early stages with us. So it's a new native workspace for humans and agent teams. And I feel like this is going to be pretty popular here with everything going on. Your people, your agents, your project, all in one place. So I don't know how many people would be able to utilize this, but just something to keep an eye on, and some props to give to our guy. Oh, you can't even see it. Sorry. Buzz. Bzz. I like that name. Buzz.xyz. So it's a place where your team, your AI agents, and your project are all in one place. Pretty cool. Keep people, context, decisions, and next steps in one shared room. No more chasing threads, documents, and status updates. And you can invite your agents into the conversation so they can compare notes, divide work, and build on the same context as your team. I feel like this is going to be a pretty powerful tool for a lot of businesses in the future. Buzz.xyz. What's this? When the screen goes black. What's this? Sats and sunsets. Oh, yeah. Sats and Sunset shared this in the school the other day. This is extremely accurate. This is extremely accurate.
합주, 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 합주. 합주, 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 합주. 합주.
Yeah, I wish I had a normal sneeze. I really do. There also used to be a girl in my work. She sat in the office next to me, and she had the craziest sneeze. There's a couple actually. There's the girl that worked right beside me. If you've ever worked in an office setting, there's some weird things that people do and say and how they act. But it was their sneezing. So the girl that sat right beside me, she would sneeze like 20 times in a row, and it would just be like the quietest sneeze ever, just like chew, 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 like 20 times though. And then the girl that not lived, but I guess she kind of did live there, on the opposite side of our space, we could still hear like her. She would sneeze and the whole office heard her, but she would sneeze and then let out a big hachoo afterwards. Like it was a very distinct, very emphasized chew. Crazy the things you remember in life. But yeah, I'm definitely the guy who shakes the whole neighborhood when they sneeze. But that's why I put it on mute. That's why I take myself off, so you guys aren't subjected to that. Okay, we got a couple zaps here to report. David T zapped 420. The David T zap to our 420 lovers out there. Thank you, David T. Bad Gal B with a big one. A shot of espresso. And Bad Gal B says, MJ knew. Did he ever? MJ knew. That is a great way to put it. MJ knew. And Kevin zapped 212 sats and said, Bitcoin is honesty crystallized in code. Amen to that. Amen to that. And I should, while we're looking at zaps here, I should check the Rizful wallet to see if anybody's sending some love in today. Sending some energy this way. Trevor says, BIP 110 keeps pulling off the blockchain. If only it did. If only it did. Robert Stelsrow says, good morning, everyone. How's the birthday sats and sunsets? It's quiet. Quiet. Okay, so we got a couple here to report. We got a happy hump day from Chuck. Chuck says, happy hump day. I probably will be missing the live streams more often as I need to be more productive during that time of day. What, Chuck? Say it ain't so. To earn more fiat, I will be concentrating mainly on school and the digital homestead. That's sad to hear, Chuck. But look at that. Even though he's not here watching or can be watching, he's still sending in some support for the mission here. So thank you, Chuck. And it looks like we got a 69. Oh, I didn't know this was show 69 today. I guess it is hump day. That kind of worked out well. So show 69. Wined and dined and 69. So Chuck with some espresso today. We got Maria 5K with some espresso today. She just says from Maria 5K. Thank you, Maria. I believe Maria is listening somewhere in the background. And we got a shot of espresso from Bad Gal B as well. Bad Gal B coming in hot with some espresso. And we got a couple more here from, Cindeezy, an 18 and a 45. So thank you. And for those watching, I'm sure you know, but just in case you don't, there's a very easy way you can support the channel here because we don't have that sponsor money coming in, you know? We don't have that sponsor money. And I've been seeing some posts lately, people saying, I'll never watch another live stream if they have sponsors. Well, that leaves about me and a couple more people. So good luck. But I kind of figured that was going to be in the I kind of saw that as a future trend that's happening because people don't like being sold to. You know what I mean? People, and I'm no different myself. Every time I see an ad, even if I like the person, I just skip it. I don't want ads. I don't want to see it. I don't want any of this. It's too overwhelming. It's too in your face. The old days, you know, you'd have to drive down the highway, the interstate, to see ads all the time like that on the billboards. But now it's just like every time you open your computer, your phone, your TV, anything, it's just people selling you shit. And I think the reason why people are saying that now is because they believe that the people who have sponsors are compromised. And I don't know if they're all compromised. I wouldn't say that. People need to live. Like that's, I don't really know the disconnect there with people, especially Bitcoiners. It's like, how do you expect a show that you enjoy watching to keep going if you're not paying for it? Who is paying them? Who is paying them? And I really think that people overestimate the amount of money that people get from YouTube, unless I'm like an anomaly here, an anomaly. But YouTube doesn't pay very well. In fact, the last 6 months, I've made quite a bit more on Rumble than on YouTube, and it's still not very much. It's about 20% of what you need to live off of. So I don't really understand the disconnect there where people think that they should just be able to watch everything for free. I don't get it myself. But I wouldn't say that people who have sponsors are all compromised. I don't think that that's the case at all. I mean, it's easy to point blame and say, hey, you're not supporting this because you're compromised. You're not supporting this because you have sponsors on your show. And it's an easy thing to do. It's an easy out. But I just don't think that's the case. I do, however, believe that if you have sponsors, if somebody's giving you a check every month to talk about their product or service, then you are subject to them. You don't have the ability to just say whatever you want, unless it's a very good sponsor. I think those would be few and far between, though, where a sponsor would just like never watch your show or never cared about what you talked about. That seems like that might be the case, but in reality, that's not the case at all. And I've seen it myself and a lot of people that I associate with in Bitcoin, where their sponsors have just dropped them. If it's a bear market or that they don't necessarily agree with what they're talking about, just it's over. So I think that if you do have sponsors, there's always something in the back of your mind that's saying, hey, how would my sponsors feel about me talking about this? That's what I do believe. And that's why I've made a point of never having any sponsors on the show. And like I always said, if I ever get to the point where I have to have sponsors, that'll be the end of me. That'll be the end of this channel. So I do appreciate very much the people who support, and it doesn't have to be that much either. It's just it's a signal to me that you appreciate what we're doing here, you support it, and you want more of it. So thank you to those who sent in some love today. Okay, what do we got here? We got Moro. Moro says, good morning, Bip. Beautiful, interesting people. I like that. Beautiful, interesting people. Who knows who Satoshi is? Yeah, who cares? Trip says, interesting site. Hey, Trip, good to see you. It's a new face on Rumble. Did you come from YouTube, Trip? I like the name Trip. What a trip. There you go. Sin Deezy sent in $2 fiat zap over in Rumble. Thank you, Sin. Sin, $2 with two fists. Boom, boom. Boom, boom, as Jerry would say. Sats and Sunset says they've been infected by fiat. Yeah, probably. It's probably true. Fiat has infected a lot of people. Their minds. Sin says, buenos dias, mi amigos. Why imiguetes? Buenos dias, mi amigos. Why imiguetes? How does that work? What's the why there, Sin? Oh, I got to sneeze now. Wow, that was milliseconds away from me not getting there in time. Milliseconds. And that was a big one too. That was a loud one. Sats and Sunsets, our guy, the castle maker. Sats and Sunsets saw a new face in the chat, Trip, and saw that he wasn't a redneck yet, and said somebody's got to do something about this. Why not me? So thank you, Sats and Sunsets, very much. And Trip was the recipient. Trip got the membership. So that's what you got to do. You just got to go over to Rumble. You get yourself an account. You leave a message in there, and somebody will probably buy you a membership. A lot of great people here. A lot of very giving people. Switched over from Getter. What's Getter? Never even heard of Getter. Y sounds like E in Spanish. It's how you say and. Okay, let's try that again. E. Buenos dias, mi amigos y amiguetes. That was better. That makes more sense. Not Y. How is YE though? That doesn't make any sense to me. We do have 40 people over in Rumble right now. And more than half have pressed the thumbs up. So I do appreciate that. But there's still 19 people who haven't. Why? Why? You don't like what we're doing here? You don't like what we're doing here? Trip says, thank you. Getter hardly knew her. Love it. Love that humor. Hardly knew her. Man, you ever just have that urge to just fucking break something? I don't know why. I would just love to throw this through the window. I have no idea why. It's just because you never get to do it, I guess. You just can't do stuff like that. But it's tempting. It's tempting. It's just like Rumble. I got you. It's weird, like the letter J sounds like the letter H. Jorge. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Jorge. Okay. Well, I want to show you guys and girls this before we should start with the mempool. We should check on that. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like to break shit? That's the problem, is you got to clean it up or pay for it, which is why most people don't do it. But the reason why people want to do it so badly is because they can't do it. It's an interesting dynamic. Wow, look at this. Is this me? Did I hit a block? Did I hit a block? No, I didn't, because I'm not using Ocean yet. I will, though. I will be using Ocean, I think. Here's the thing. I think this is what a lot of people get wrong right now in the whole BIP 110 debate. They think that anybody who isn't running BIP 110 or signaling the activation for it is compromised in some way, or a suit, or a corporation, or a evil person. But like, I'm running knots personally. I'm still running knots. I don't know if I will be for much longer, but I am right now. I decide that that's a better option for me and for my mempool, and so I ran knots. I also, if I was mining, I would be using Ocean, which is the guys who are part of the team from BIP 110. But just because I run knots and I appreciate what Ocean's doing, that doesn't mean that I have to run BIP 110. They're all different things, but people just kind of like, they see one person saying that they don't like this or that they do like this, and then they just kind of cling on to that, and they think that, well, this person supports Core, so I want nothing to do with that. It's just a very weird kind of thing that's happening in Bitcoin right now, where people who don't really understand, I don't think, what's going on, they just kind of cling to these analogies and narratives. But anyways, again, we'll see what happens. I don't hold anything against anyone for what's happening in Bitcoin right now. I just wish people would be a little bit more respectful. That's it. But look at this block here. Look at the block from 18 minutes ago. I've never seen that one before. The 888. And it looks like they are using Ocean to mine. How have the last couple blocks been here? Foundry's been hot. Via BTC, Roughnecks hit a block. Securities and commissions pool hit a block. So obviously if it activated today, it wouldn't last very long. But you never know. That's kind of the talk around BIP 110 right now, is that some of these pools, Foundry, Ant Pool, F2 Pool, they might end up signaling and activating 110 on the mandatory activation date. We'll see. It doesn't really make sense game theory-wise to me that they would do that, but they still could. I guess that's the point. That's why we won't know what's going to play out until it happens. 888 block is signaling BIP 110. Nice. I think most people in Ocean are, but I'm pretty sure Ocean gave their miners the ability to choose between signaling or activating BIP 110 for their block or not. But from what I understand, anyways, it defaults to activating it. So if somebody mined a block with Ocean and they didn't change their settings, then they would automatically activate BIP 110 there. So, but it makes sense because Ocean's very tied into what BIP 110 is doing, I believe. So Buck 52 said, F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote that the test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposed ideas in mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people have lost that ability. It's crazy. It's actually crazy what's happening here. But it's fun. It's interesting because we don't have a whole lot in Bitcoin to talk about right now, other than all the Bitcoin treasury companies failing, collapsing, the price going back up a little bit, 40K coming in October, apparently. This is just me thinking out loud right now. But if I knew that everybody was thinking that we're going to hit a bottom in October, I would probably, when it was on its way down to that, if it ever does that, there's probably a pretty big pool of capital that's waiting to buy that up at like 50K. You know what I mean? That would be pretty smart. Wait until that happens where everybody thinks it's going down, and then just buy the shit out of it at 50. And then all the people who are waiting for 40, they're still on the sidelines and you're getting all their cheap Bitcoin at that time. I just see that as being a very realistic possibility, because it's not a real big secret that everybody expects Bitcoin to bottom in October. So if I had a large pool of capital, I would be taking advantage of that information. So we'll see what happens, I guess. We'll see what happens. 66,000 on the dot. 1515. So we are in the Epoch V. The supply is 20.05 million, which is 95.52% of the 21 million, approximately. Not exactly 21 million, but 2.1 quadrillion sats, approximately. 95.5% have been mined. The subsidy is 3.125 still. The winner of the last block was Foundry USA. And that happened a minute ago. For their troubles, they didn't get much. They had a pretty poor block. They got the subsidy, though, which is kind of the main point right now. Eventually, the transaction fees will be higher than the subsidy. There will be a flippening at some point. But they got a total of 3.1299 Bitcoin for mining that block. And let's take a look here. David T says you can see the signaling here. Let's check this out. Oh, I thought these used to be toxic. Or this must be a different website then. Because the other ones here, the one that Jerry shows, these all show as toxic blocks, which is hilarious to me. Toxic. I think that's probably my main question right now for people who are supporting BIP 110. Is like after all the bashing of Bitcoin that's happened in the last 6 months, the toxic blocks, the pedophile coin, are people just going to go back to Bitcoin if BIP 110 fails? Or are they going to now hold the coin that they were shitting on for so long? I don't know. Some people probably will. But I think we're going to lose a lot of great Bitcoiners. So yeah, that block was 110. Same with this Roughnecks one. But it doesn't look like much other than that. See, here's an example of somebody who is mining with Ocean called Print Crypto. So they're mining with Ocean, but they did not activate or signal for 110 in that block. What is this? I've never seen this before. BTC.com and Antpool. How the hell does that happen? I've never seen that before. In all the days that we've looked at the mempools, I've never seen two miners. And I don't know if they know what's going on there either. So this shows Bitcoin.com in my, what the hell? It's taking so long. Wow, this BTC.com, it looks like that the pool dominance was, wow, I did not know this. Back in 2018, BTC.com, they had 30% of the hash rate. And now they're down to 0.01, 0.032%. Wow. And their hash rate really didn't change that much. Like their hash rate at that time was 10 exahash, and now it's 9 exahash. And they went from 30% of the pool dominance to 0.03. Wow. But I wonder how, I don't understand how Antpool is involved in that block. Because it said, oh, it's hard to look at. Sorry. See this one too, SEC pool and Antpool. I wonder what's going on there. Never seen that. And here too. What the hell's going on with this? Huh. Usually if there's like something like that, it has a little information thing here you can click on and see how that's possible. Anyways, yeah, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of BIP110 blocks coming through right now. Data Factory, that's another example of somebody mining with Ocean but not signaling. Yeah, that doesn't look very good. Unknown, love to see that. Unknown miners, my favorite. Unknown miners. That might have been me, man. I didn't even check my BitAx for a couple months. I might have a couple Bitcoins sitting in there. Who knows? Even if it is successful, isn't it just temporary? Yeah, I think it's supposed to last for a year-ish. I think it's a year. So I don't know how the whole thing plays out if it's successful and what happens from there. But I would say the Vegas odds of BIP110 being successful would be pretty low at this moment. But again, you won't know until the mandatory happens. So it's impossible to predict or project what's going to happen. But based on who has signaled, doesn't look good. And some people will argue that, you know, it doesn't really make sense for them to signal until they're ready. But I would argue that, because if one pool signaled, then I feel like the other pools would be like, hey, these guys are doing it. Maybe we should as well. Otherwise, we're going to get left with some blocks that we don't get paid for. But you could argue the other side of it too, where they don't need to. They don't need to cause any drama before it happens. I think the one that makes more sense is like, you want to build momentum. You want to say, hey, we got a pretty large percentage here. Other miners, you should maybe take a look at what's going on here. So I don't know. I'm trying my best to be, somewhat just neutral on it. Not over the top with it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And some people might call that fence sitting, but I don't think it is. I've kind of already talked about my opinions on it and thoughts about it. So if you're a follower of the show, you know what that is. Hey, Trip's a new follower over on Rumble. New follower, new redneck. God bless. All right. So let's take a look at this here. This was the last thing I wanted to talk about today. I found this very interesting. So let me bring this up. This is actually a resource from our guy, Sindeezy. Sent this in yesterday. We were looking at the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. So this is what we were looking at yesterday. We put in our initial amount being $100,000 initial amount. We used a rate of 35. Hold on. Man, the sneezes are coming in fast. Almost missed that one too. Okay, so we had the exchange rate of 35%. And the reason why we used 35%, hold on. Let me just make sure everything's okay here. What's going on with this? Okay, so here it is. Here it is. Let me bring this back up. This is the compound interest calculator. And we're going to be taking a look at the CAGR. I'm sure most people have seen what the expected returns of Bitcoin would be the longer you hold on to it based on certain CAGRs. And Michael Saylor has said that he expects Bitcoin to go up 21%, I believe, for the next 21 years, which, I don't know how much weight you put behind that, because I feel like he's just using numbers that he likes, that Bitcoiners like. My opinion is I think it's going to be much higher than that, because based on where we are in the adoption curve and the S curve, we're at the very beginning of that, the very flat part. We've hardly even gone upwards at all. And at some point in the future, we are going to go through that very steep part of the S curve. And I don't know when that happens. It could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. But at some point, we are going to go through that. And that's going to take our average growth rate from whatever it is to significantly higher. When Bitcoin is really adopted and really understood in the world, that's when we're going to see some major returns in terms of the value and the purchasing power of Bitcoin. So I think that 35% a year is probably fair. I know it doesn't seem like that's a reasonable CAGR at this point in the cycle, because we're kind of, quite a bit down from where we were this time last year. But the thing about this is you don't really look month to month or year to year. You look over the long term. And Bitcoin over the last 10 years has been about 40 or 50% CAGR, I believe. And so I think 35% is a pretty decent number. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because I really want you to understand how valuable and how important what you have today is compared to what you do going forward. That's kind of the point of what I want to show here. And this is what we discovered yesterday. So we're going to do this annual. We're going to compound it annually. And we're going to do 10 years. So let's see what this looks like after 10 years of holding Bitcoin. So compounding, beginning with $100,000 worth of capital, compounding at 35% per year over the next decade, that would put you into $2 million holdings. And keep in mind here, that's not like $2 million. If the US dollar hyperinflates, that's not really factored into this. So you have to assume that this is going to be $2 million worth of purchasing power. Not like the price isn't going to be $2 million. It could be much higher than that. But you're going to get $2 million worth of purchasing power from that initial capital allocation into Bitcoin. Hold on to it for 10 years, assuming a 35% CAGR. And again, some people might think that's a little bit high. I think it's actually a little bit low, but that's not even the point of what we're talking about here. The point is if we go back up here and if we want to make contributions, so that's kind of assuming that you have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin today, but most people are going to keep buying Bitcoin. And that's really what they're focused on. They're setting up their DCAs. They're hoping the price goes down even further so they can buy more of it. That's kind of what their focus is on. But I just want to show you, I want to demonstrate here how not irrelevant, but the main thing that you should be focused on today is what you already have. Because when you see this, let's say that we're going to do $500 a month for this 10 years. So you got your initial capital there, you got the Bitcoin purchased, and now all you got to do is just sit on it. Very much like farmland. It's something that you want to hold on to forever. It's the last thing that you want to have to sell, the last thing that you want to lend against or use as collateral. That's your Bitcoin. So let's check this out. So keep in mind this number right here, $2.01 million. That's what your Bitcoin will be worth. But let's add to it. Let's say that you're going to contribute more. You're going to buy $500 worth of Bitcoin every month for the next 10 years. And let's see what that gets us. 2.4. 2.4. So yeah, it's higher, but like it's not a huge change. And that's pretty significant, I think, for a lot of people to be buying $500 of Bitcoin for 10 years straight per month. And it really doesn't change that much in your overall portfolio. And so the point of that is like, you really need to be focused on what you're holding today. That's the value that you have. Because if you consider what your Bitcoin balance is, I know it just kind of looks like a number on a screen. It's a number we all like rooting to go up. But what it is, it's basically a sum of all the work that you've done in your life, all the value that you provided, all the service that you've contributed to the world. That's what Bitcoin measures. And so if you were somehow to lose what you have today, you would never get close to where you are today. So again, the point of this is to say that most people right now are future focused. They're figuring out how they can make more money, how they can stack more sats, and how they can do that consistently into the future. And not enough people are realizing what they have now, what that is worth. And they're kind of shortcutting that. Maybe they have it on an exchange. Maybe they just have it on a ledger or a Trezor or even just a single signature cold card. They're not putting enough emphasis on their golden goose. That's what you have. Yeah, you're going to get eggs in the future, but you got to protect your golden goose. And it's not an easy thing to do. It takes time. It takes work. It takes a very deep understanding of Bitcoin to know how you can protect that golden goose of yours. So focus on what you have here, I think is the key. Learn how to protect it. Learn all the different things you can do with it. Learn about trick pins, duress pins, multi-sigs, passphrases. You want to get your golden goose into the best possible security. And that should be everyone's main focus, because the point of this is to say that whatever you do going forward is going to be insignificant compared to what you've already done. And if you ever happen to lose that golden goose of yours, you're never going to get it back. You'll never be able to get back into a position with what you have today. So that was really interesting. I thought that was worth sharing and worth thinking about, because a lot of people are just taking that too lightly, and not only just their security of it, but also their inheritance, right? Like even if you have the best security and it's, you got some keys over here, some shards over here, a passphrase over here, it doesn't mean much if that's all in your head and something happens to you. Then your family gets nothing. So pay attention to what matters most, which is the security of your golden goose, and also your inheritance to pass that $2 million worth of value to your family. Itchy nose. I view Bitcoin as a universal currency used anywhere at any time. Yeah, it's what it is. It's a good way to think about it. Okay, we're going to hit the road here. Sin says neutral doesn't necessarily equal passive or dismissive. That's a great point. That's a great point. Okay, I got to go. So thanks everybody today. Thanks for being here. Thanks for contributing to the show. Like I've said in the last couple of weeks here, things are going to look a little bit different in the future. I don't exactly know what that's going to look like yet, but one thing will be the same. We will be on YouTube. We will be on Rumble. We will be on Zapstream. We will not have sponsors. We will continue talking about whatever the hell's on our mind and speaking truth. into this world and trying to help people grow their wings. To help people grow their wings so we can see the fence for what it is, which is a figment of our imagination. There's no fence there. We can jump over it. We can grow wings. We can build tools. We can build skills that allow us to completely escape the farm. So that's what I got for you today. I hope everybody has a great day today. And Arnie Boy and I will be back here tomorrow for the Thursday show. And that's it. Oh, we should do a raid. We should do a raid over on Rumble. We should do that because we're running out of days here. We're running out of days. What should we watch, folks? Oh, and the last thing that I want to say is if you are somebody who's watching this, especially on Rumble, and if you don't have the ability to support the channel financially, the one thing that I would ask is just to simply leave a comment. Just put a comment in the chat saying hello or emoji. Just let us know you're here, and then we can get a little bit of credit for that on Rumble. So it's zero cost to you, but it still benefits the channel here. I would really appreciate that before we hit the road. So let's go to live. Is Badlands live? Yep. Badlands Daily. Wow, there's 3,000 people watching that. I guess I picked the wrong niche. I should have been talking about politics. But, if people still think that politics is the solution, then they'll eventually find their way to Bitcoin, which gives me hope. But the problem is we gotta let them know that Bitcoin is the solution to all their problems. But it takes time. It takes time, and I apologize again for the sneezes today, for my allergies. But oh shit, what'd I do? Oh yeah, confirm raid. Okay, so thanks everybody. We'll be back here tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll be feeling a little bit better. But we'll see you then. Or you on the Badlands channel. Hop over there, say hi, and that's it. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon.